Hello and welcome. Thanks for joining me, astrologer Patrick Arundell, for your in-depth November horoscope video for the Sun or the Ascendant. Before I begin, I'd like to briefly tell you about my year 2021 personal horoscope special package. This gives you a forecast and a character analysis. But also, if you order now in 2020, I'll give you the rest of this year free. Get 30% off this package based on your time, date and place of birth. It's totally individual to you and will give you searing insights into what you can expect in the months ahead. Please see beneath this video to click on the link to order. Hello Leo and welcome to your monthly horoscope for November for the Sun or the Ascendant. This month begins with the Sun in the part of your horoscope to do with emotion, to do with safety, security, anything to do with the family, the home, how you live there and who with are all featured brightly, particularly on the back of a sparkling new moon on the 15th, which links beautifully with Jupiter, the planet of optimism and growth, but also Neptune, the planet of dreams and spirituality. But if we take our story back to the start of the month, the Sun is actually in a little bit of conflict with Uranus, the planet of surprises, which is high in the sky in your sector of worldly interactions and also potentially work and responsibilities, goals and ambitions. And what Uranus has been pushing you to do since the middle of May 2018 to the middle of November 18 and from March the 7th 19 is to review your role in life in general. And it's possible that you have felt quite unsettled. But if there is an opportunity that comes up at the start of this month, it may do so in quite an unexpected way, and it could give you a little bit of a dilemma. But I want to reassure you that it's nice to have choices, because choices are very enabling and give us an enrichment. So even if you have to plump between 1, 2 or 3 different options, perhaps ones that you hadn't previously foreseen, it will give you the chance to at least flex. And because you are a fixed sign, sometimes sticking with what you know can be very comforting, but it also can close in on you. And Uranus is asking you to be much more open about the type of life you can enjoy. So something could come up, some kind of surprise. It may be someone in your family, older or younger, will present you with an option or perhaps a piece of information that certainly gives you food for thought. But of course, Mercury has been in a retrograde since the middle of October. And as we come into this new month, that's still the case. Mercury retrograde can slow things down. If you've had a few snags since the end of October around technology, a trusted domestic appliance, or something to do with the internet or a PC, it really wouldn't be a surprise. But on the 2nd, Mercury ends that retrograde and by the 11th moves back into the sign of Scorpio, where the retrograde began. Now, the initial retrograde and shadow period, which began on the 27th of September, was putting a big emphasis on those home or emotional relationships. And possibly it could be to do with a sibling or a neighbour. Something around your immediate environment may have happened during that period of time, which has left you feeling a little bit withdrawn, maybe not quite so outgoing as you have been. But I think Mercury going forwards on the 2nd can be positive, but it is conflicted by Saturn through to the 10th of this month. So it's important when you're setting your agenda for November not to try to do too much. Mercury is the planet of thinking, but it's also the planet of communication. So whether it's about your thoughts, your plans, or your communication, you may feel a little bit inhibited. Saturn may be reminding you of those everyday matters where people expect you to take the greater responsibility. Now, I feel there's been a growing trend for some while where you've been pushing back against that, finding it more difficult, because there's another part of you that wants a much more exciting vista to explore, and that's coming from the role of Mars, making its way through the sign of Aries, your sister fire sign, but your ninth house of adventure and independence. So there's going to be a bit of a flavour of that earlier in this month, where something that is important to you could just seem inhibited by those obligations or those expectations from other people. Also, Venus is in your third house, which gives you an awesome opportunity through to the 20th to present the ideas you have, or the thoughts or the emotions, in quite a smooth and harmonising way. If you enjoy singing, whether it's like me in the shower, or more seriously, or you like to express yourself through a blog, or you write poetry, these kind of things can definitely be boosted ordinarily by Venus making their way through this sector. But I have to say that from the 9th through till the 19th, Venus is being challenged by that cluster of energy in the sign of Capricorn, which is all about those everyday exacting expectations. And it may also feel that someone around you is being a bit severe, a bit stern, maybe not quite so attuned to your charm, your persona in the way you would like. And because the sun is in a tender transit through to the 20th, this could close it in on you. But I want you to focus on the fact that from the 9th onwards, the sun is forging a quite gorgeous link with Jupiter. This is expansive, it's very optimistic, but it may not be optimistic in the action-orientated, outgoing way that sometimes we think of the Sun and Jupiter, which is very much about physical movement. I think it's much more likely to be at the heart of your situation. So some kind of reorganisation or change, or perhaps you're thinking about a home-based enterprise or business, or just working from home in your everyday job. That actually might start to really make much more sense for you. And some good news can definitely flow in from that new moon of the 15th. But of course, Mars has been tracking backwards since the 9th of September, causing all sorts of tensions, particularly as it's clashed with the big three in Capricorn. And that oppression that you may have been experiencing has really been very tough, especially since the 27th of July, when Mars started to square up with Jupiter. However, Mars starting to go forwards is wonderful, and you've got a glorious new moon stroke solar eclipse which occurs on the 14th of December, which embraces Mars in a trine, and that's going to bring this year to an end on a much more positive note for you, particularly around relationships, I feel. But on the 21st, the Sun does move into the energised, high-octane Sagittarius, of course, your sister fire sign. But this is a sign that is flexible because it's mutable and perfect for you to just pick up the pace, feel more outgoing, feel that your vitality is reviving. It is true that Venus moves into your 4th house on the same day, but that just means that if you're someone who enjoys being a host, if it's possible in terms of COVID restrictions, you may well invite some folks round to yours in the last 10 days of this month and play Mine Host. Then again, perhaps it's something creative that you can do from the comfort of your home, whether it's a hobby craft or it is that potential small business that you see that there is some scope in expanding. Now, 2 other pieces of information for later in the month. On the 29th, Neptune ends a retrograde, which began on the 23rd of June. If you have felt a bit conflicted about finance during that period of time, or a bit confused as to what you can do to move things forwards, obviously COVID has been the major impact, or the major reason for that for many of us. But I think in your situation, Neptune is kind of in a way, asking you to embrace your dreams in terms of how you create revenue. So that might mean doing the job that really you would be passionate about, rather than the job that you're very good at or may get paid quite well for. So Neptune going forwards can just bring a bit more reality to the situation. But on the 30th, we do have an annular lunar eclipse in the sign of Gemini, which for you is all about friendship. So balancing your friendship, your love relationship or hopes, or the needs of your children. So time management could be an issue that you're thinking about as you enter into the first 2 weeks of December. And of course, I'll tell you more about this in December's forecast. But what I would say is that this is an eclipse series that's being reactivated that first began in 1984. So it's taken us away from the Cancer Capricorn series, which has gone on for the last 2.5, 3 years. And I think for you, this is much brighter. It's much more epithescent. And of course, it's going to feature that solar eclipse in the fiery Sagittarius in the middle of December. So there's a lot for you to look forward to. But balancing those obligations and responsibilities, which I feel have closed in on you a lot more in recent months, with developing what's good for you, the individual, whilst keeping the stability and security in your situation just as you need, is really going to be the trick of this month. But for now, take care, good luck, stay safe, and goodbye.